A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth in moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride. Welcome to the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast, where we talk about all things mental health, healing, awareness, business tips, positive psychology, and so much more. Today, we will talk building a spiritually conscious brand, Hollywood lessons of self-esteem, and finding your sense of peace within the chaos with our very special guest, Giovanna Silvestre, a visionary and trailblazer, embarked on a remarkable journey that took her from the prestigious halls of the University of Southern California to the world of entertainment. Beginning her career in Hollywood, Giovanna's passion for creativity and innovation distinguished her in the industry, and after leaving the entertainment industry, Giovanna experienced depression, a pivotal moment that forced her to confront her identity and purpose. This introspective time ignited her quest to discover who she really was and why she was here, leading her to create her brand and write her book. With an entrepreneurial spirit, Giovanna founded Confused Girl in the City, a unique activewear brand inspired by healing crystals. Driven by her innate sense of design, her creations have garnered acclaim in prominent publications such as NBC and Forbes, while achieving a dedicated following of 400,000 followers on Instagram. Her journey is a testament to the power of passion, creativity, and the transformative nature of embracing life's uncertainties. Wow, what a beautiful bio. Welcome to the podcast, Giovanna. So excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yes, I love everything that you're doing. And I feel like it's such a breath of fresh air to connect with people who are on the journey of spirituality. How so many of us, I feel like, who are empaths, who are discovering themselves, trying something new. And usually it's kind of like not even an option. It's kind of like we're forced into something. And then we have to go through periods of like unraveling parts of ourselves. There's the shadow part. And it's a lot of us go through this experience. And I was just talking to a few clients recently, and they were actually talking about their own shadow work and how they had no idea where initially their trauma and their recovery journey would lead them to after the fact. So can you tell me a little bit about like your journey and how did you find wisdom in your chaos, which is so difficult to do for many of us?
It's so true. I think it's really interesting that you said you're kind of forced into it because that's how I felt. I felt like certain people can get away with being fake and narcissistic, and they can go through life like that. And they do somehow succeed, at least in the framework of maybe they accumulate a lot of money and success. I don't really consider that to be the main success of life. I don't think that's the point of being here. But it's like they get away with it, kind of. You can kind of see them get away with it. And it's like I wasn't able to get away with it. I was in my 20s, and my especially early mid 20s, I was very much like about image and what would make me look good. And I was doing careers and things that I thought would make my parents happy and look cool to my peers. And I was just ignoring myself the entire time. Even working in the entertainment industry, which I worked on, a few big productions, and I worked at big studios. But it was like, and there were great experiences. I learned so much from that. Like nothing lost, super grateful, learned a lot, got some thick skin because of it. It's a great analysis of personalities and different characters. But it is a world of illusion. And it was cool. I got to see behind the curtain and got to see that it's not a lot of this isn't real. And a lot of people are just miserable because you think, oh my gosh, these actresses, they're so beautiful. They make all this money. Anybody would want to be them, whatever. And then they're miserable. And you're like, why are you miserable? And it's because that world is very corrupt and whatever they probably had to sacrifice something in their soul to get to that space. So at a certain point, I just wasn't willing to sacrifice any of my soul. I wasn't willing to harden my personality and character to survive in that space. It's like I'm a person that dips in. I like dip my toe in, and then I'm like, not for me. I'm out before any damage is done. I have to say, like, I've always been very intuitive like that, where I can get out before it gets weird.
That's such a gift, by the way. Yes.
No,
I
it
know,
really
yeah.
is. So it's like I can get into these situations, which it's like, and I've done this, and I've been around some really big people, like even in the political world. And it was like I got invited to a party or something, and then it's like I dip my toe in, and then I'm like, ooh, craziness, I'm out. It doesn't feel safe. I'm out. And I like, escape these situations without anything. And it's like, I got to see the dynamics. I got to see what's going on. I got to understand, which is just added to, my wisdom in life, which is amazing. And I've been able to come out unscathed. But yeah, it's like the universe was always pushing me toward, I think because I was just naturally intuitive and I was trying to ignore that part of myself, it was always pushing me toward, this isn't going to work for you. Go with your true nature, flow with that inner voice inside of you. And so I got out of the film industry and I thought, okay, maybe I'll take over my parents' business. They had an Italian restaurant up north in California. And I thought, okay, I'll, take on that legacy and keep that going, make them proud, make them happy. And then I was very miserable doing that. I did that for 2 years. Came back to LA with like my tail between my legs and just feeling awful. And I'm like, well, maybe nothing will ever make me happy because I got to pretty high levels in the entertainment industry. I was unhappy. I was unhappy taking over my parents', place. Maybe there's something inherently wrong with me. And I felt really worthless. And I think that's one of the worst things that we can think about ourselves is there's something inherently wrong with me. And a lot of times we feel that way just because we're confused, because we don't know where to go next.
I know. It's like the subconscious is like super turned up. And what you said is so true about even like putting your toe in and being like aware, like, oh, like in the future timeline, it's not going to have to get out. And I feel like so many people now are coming to realize like their higher self or something like that, their inner child or some part of their fragmented self in the future timeline is kind of like coming in a way like to predict their destiny or steering away from something that they thought would have been, but maybe it's not going to be. And that's like once you get into like quantum physics and quantum mechanics and like timeline jumping and all these, spiritual topics, it's so crazy how
I
the
love this
intuitive
stuff.
self, yeah, like the intuitive self is so like you mentioned, it's so gifted when that clarity comes in. It's so empowering for people to like to sense. And I also grew up in this world of ballet performing competition, so it's the competition is very fierce and everybody is, I don't know if it's changing or shifting, where there's more friendship and companionship, like with people wanting to connect, but there's always that element of like, superiority. I have to win, I have to beat everybody. So it is difficult, especially when
Yes.
you have a gift of a talent and you do want to do your best. You want to, but when it comes to like extreme, that's where it becomes so hard, because it's like you want to do your best, but then when you start to talk about depression, like this doesn't work, this doesn't work. It's like once you reach a certain level and you tried this, you tried that, I feel like the universe kind of is testing you to be like, okay, have you learned enough externally that now maybe you have to go inward? Where before I didn't really go inward, so I had to kind of like take a step back from dancing and everything to kind of move inward.
Yeah. Well, we're not taught to go inward,
Right.
and that's the major issue. Is we're taught all these other things, and but we're not taught the most important one, which is to go inward, connect with yourself. And because once you can connect with yourself and you feel like you have value without being attached to anything, like it's not, I have value because I have a boyfriend, I have value because I have money, I have value because I have a career, I have value because I just did something good, or I won a ballet competition, or I'm the prima ballerina, so I have value. It's no, if people can feel like they have value just because they exist,
Yes.
then you will be able to, no matter what life throws at you, you will be able to have a certain level of contentment, peace, and perseverance to get you through anything in life. The problem is, and it's so funny you mentioned the competition stuff, because I have a whole chapter in my book about that, about comparisons. It's
That's
called Mirror
amazing.
Mirror. Yeah. And because I really go into this, and I go into, we're taught, in school to be very competitive. And I actually don't think that there's competition is needed in this world too. And there's a place for competition. I don't think this whole thing now of everybody gets a trophy, and the one that actually is
Right.
doing really well doesn't get acknowledged, because we got to acknowledge everyone. It's like no, that doesn't make any common sense either. Like that makes no sense. But it's about, you know what, this person's really good at this, but there's things that you're good at that they're not. And that's the beauty about life, is maybe not everybody can be the prima ballerina in the ballet, but you can be a good ballerina, you can enjoy it, and then you can have other things maybe that you're number one
Right.
in, or whatever. And so I talk about this, and I talk about really concentrating on your own path and not always looking at other people, because you don't know what's really going on in other people's world. You don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. And it's it's a disservice to yourself, and it's a disservice to them. It's a disservice to the wisdom of life to compare yourself, to feel inferior, or even to feel superior, because it doesn't, that actually isn't the truth. And I talk about how to use comparisons in a positive way. I'll just give two tips on because I know comparisons are a thing. They're a thing, even with people you wouldn't think compare. Like I have a friend who, she's very grounded, very happy in her relationship, but she compares like her marriage to other marriages. That's one of her things. And she's talked to me about that. So everybody does it, Even my friend, he was a dude who's a good looking, successful dude. He had to get off Instagram because he's like, I'm getting FOMO and I'm comparing, like, everyone looks like they're having a good time and I got to get off of this thing. And I'm like, whoa, like this is happening to older, younger men, women. It's everyone. It's not just young adolescent women. You think, but no, it's everyone. So, okay, two tips. Number one, I think that when you see somebody doing really well, like they just got a promotion at work, they did a bunch of sales, or even, you're in yoga practice and they're doing birds of paradise and you can't seem to figure it out. So instead of going, oh, I'm awful and they're better than me, okay? Instead of going there, because that's not true, you're telling yourself a lie. go up to that person and say, hey, can you show me what you did there? I really admire, how you did that. I think it's great. Could you give me a few tips? Maybe if it's a coworker, can I take you to lunch? And could you give me a few tips? And then instead of you just now there's like some bad energy because you're projecting the evil green eye on them, and that's actually hurting you, and it's stopping you from getting what you really want. And you could learn something from them, and then you can take that in a really big direction and skyrocket. So instead of thinking of it like I'm superior or inferior, think of it as I'm learning and I'm growing, and that's winning.
That's beautiful. Yes, that's such a great reminder.
So
Yes. Yes, totally. And it's like, I feel
okay,
like
so that's what we,
even when it comes back to physics again, it's like the entropy is that chaos that's happening. And it's like, that's kind of revealing to us the inner chaos we have to go through in our psyche. And that's a period of time that we have to connect to it, even when it's so awkward and uncomfortable, to ask the universe to reveal, like, what is this for? Because of course we have competition and we compare ourselves. I actually opened tutoring for students who want to do ballet who are just brand new, because I've gotten so many people who were like, I'm not a professional dancer, but I just want to dance, but I'm not as good as you or her or the guy who's in the class because they're professional. And I was like, but it's okay, there are different levels of achievement, and wanting to begin, it's such a like great way to acknowledge that you want to start something new, and being aware that somebody is a professional, somebody is on a different expert level, that's okay too. And like you mentioned, ask for help or ask for guidance. That's so inspiring, that's so empowering, because then it's going to make you feel like less left out. And I feel like so
yes,
often when we're afraid to reach out, I think it goes back to like a deeper wound, and perhaps it's somehow connected to like attachment styles and how we attach. And like perhaps we're like anxiously attached or avoidant attached. So we're scared, or we don't want to be rejected. We don't want to feel like left out, if somebody's going to be like, no, like you're not good enough or you're lacking. But if we're securely attached, which we have to also go on a whole journey to get back to securely attached, if we had trauma and stuff like that, then we're going to be more confident within ourselves. And even if we do get rejected, we'll just take it and be like, oh, okay, this is a rejection, and I have to somehow switch it up and either try again or go a different way. Because rejection, it does hurt. It's so uncomfortable. I feel like a failure, have to go through all the
yes,
emotions, all the things. But it shouldn't devalue you in a way where you feel less than. I feel like that's such a big lesson. Even like we have to keep telling ourselves that, because rejection is just part of this kind of entropy. It's like chaos. We have to clear the chaos. We have to find center and go again and keep moving forward.
yes. I I totally agree with that, and I I really do, based on what you kind of brought up about some people come to the ballet class and they're like, I'm not that good, but I just want to do this for fun. I just want to, and I think that that is beautiful. And that's how I looked at my yoga practice, is because I grew up with a very competitive father. And I remember, and my father was such an amazing, great man, but he was very old school man from Italy who, his life wasn't easy. And he told me when I was like 10 years old, he's like, Giovanna, if you're really good at something, then people will respect you. And in one way, that's good advice. But in another way, it put this pressure on me to like be number one, and that I had to be really, great at everything I did. And if I wasn't really good at something, I would feel this crazy amount of shame, even if it was trying something for the first time where you can't be that great at it, and it was like, then I would have this shame, and I wouldn't want to do things because I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything unless I'm 100%, but you can't do, the only way to get to 100% is by doing it, so it made no sense. It was totally irrational. And But so with yoga, when I started doing that, and yoga really helped me when I was in a depression, come out of my depression. Yoga really helped me. And I was like, I'm doing this yoga practice just for myself. I'm not doing this yoga practice. I mean, to this day, I can't do some of the crazy things that these girls could do. I mean, they're amazing where they can,
Yeah, it's hard.
put their, and I created a yoga wear brand. And I mean, if you see my yoga flow, okay, I'm incredible at the flow. I've done enough yoga now where I got my flow down. But I never was really interested in I don't know, where they put their elbows down and they can bring their legs up. And I
Oh
mean, oh
wow,
my gosh,
yeah.
it's incredible.
Like a
When they do
handstand
that
plank.
stuff,
That's
I'm
so
like, oh,
hard.
you go, girl. Like I am appreciating, but I never was like, I really want to do that. I got to do that. And when they're doing it in class and I'm not, and I'm just doing a down dog or a child's pose, I'm not going, oh, I'm inadequate. I'm like, oh, I'm really enjoying my pose right now. I'm chilling, I really, yoga for me was like, well, it's good exercise, sure. But more than that, it was really just to help quiet my mind because I have such a hyper and active mind. It was really just to bring some peace to my mind and my body and to just enjoy the flow. And when I am in yoga, I can actually feel when I'm doing some of the like sun salutations and stuff, I can feel energy moving in my body. I can feel it like coming out of my fingertips and it's an amazing feeling. And that's where I do a lot of my manifesting and I hold focus and attention. Um, but I never was like, I have to be a primo uno yogi. So I think everyone should have something where they just do it because they want to do it for themselves. It's not to become amazing at it. And then if, you do become amazing at it and you can do all the things and the poses or the whatever, amazing. But if you don't want to, it doesn't matter.
If you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner, adult, ballet, and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at balletartsmovement@gmail.com. First class free. Podpitch is the first and only software that finds, writes, and sends pitches to podcast hosts from your actual email address. Podpitch will make sure you get podcast bookings, guaranteed. Link in the description of the podcast. ClickFunnels easily build any type of online business and sales funnel in record time, no matter what your product, service, or niche, without any tech design or experience whatsoever. Try the ClickFunnels 14-day free trial. Link in the description of the podcast. Being kind to yourself and taking that opportunity to like try stuff, and because today is National Compliment Day. So it's such a reminder for the inner child to give a compliment to somebody or to yourself and to acknowledge that fact, acknowledge that. And I feel like so many times where people are lacking in their emotional regulation, that's where they find such difficulty connecting with others or finding compassion with themselves, even. They're not able to fully emotionally honor themselves. They can't regulate, and regulation is so, so important. Like you mentioned, how yoga is so good because quiets down the mental chatter. Everybody has to find that practice for themselves, whether it's taking a walk, doing a Pilates class, running,
Yeah.
hanging out in the park with a pet, just like literally anything that soothes their mind and brings them that nervous system regulation, because that's, I think, the most important part of like grounding and figuring out how to maneuver through all of these emotions as we do release tension with our mental stuff, our mental issues. Because when we do have like a practice that's consistent, like you mentioned yoga, and with my ballet class, it's like people really, they strive to be good and to be kind, caring people in the world, but when they don't have that ability to have a routine, a consistent routine, it's like anybody's gonna go crazy or end up like losing their marbles, you know? It's like we have to come back to that, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Which brings me, like, it's so
Yes.
interesting how you created a brand, a spiritual conscious brand. Can you talk a little bit about that? And especially for people who are into this world of like spirituality and consciousness, like how did you do that? It's so inspiring, and congrats again. It's so cool.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, after I was able to pick myself up out of my depression, which I write about in my book and give tips for that, then it was like, okay, I have a level of now like worth. Like I feel like I am worthy. Now, granted, that grows as you evolve in life, right? But it's like, okay, I have a foundation of self-love. There's some sort of self-love here. There's no more self-hate. There's a level of self-love here. So then I went, okay, well, why am I here? And who am I? And so that's when I decided to start a video blog called Confused Girl in the City, which I started a decade ago, and I would post on YouTube. And so I in my very adventurous brain, I thought, okay, well, the best way to get to know yourself is by like trying new things that you've never done before in an attempt to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And so I said on my video blog, every week I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do something I've never done before in an attempt to figure out who I am and what I like and what I don't like. And I made that commitment and I followed through with it. And what was so cool, it was like my life and myself became this grand adventure that I got to discover. And I could not have gotten to that point had I not been confused to begin with.
Exactly.
So that's why in the book that I write that confusion is a virtue. And I called my brand Confused Girl in the City because I'm like, confusion is the first step to discovery. If you don't allow every confusion is going to hit everyone. But if you reject it and you want to act like you know everything and you don't want to deal with that, then what are you discovering in your life? You're just going in the same cycle, and you're actually going to end up probably a bit bitter and depressed. But if you can um, let the confusion come, and instead of shaming it or feeling bad about not having the answers, you go, okay, I'm confused. I'm gonna sit here with this. I'm gonna be real honest, and I'm confused. I'm a confused girl. Okay, now let's go discover something. And then it can lead you on this incredible journey. And again, I never thought I was going to start a yoga wear line inspired by healing crystals. That was going to lead to like that was going to lead, like this is part of my line, choose love. I never thought
Oh
that I was
wow,
going to
that's
do.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a little crop tank. It's so cute.
That's so
Um,
cute.
Thank you. I never thought that that was something I was going to do. Then what led to me writing a book, but it's if you take that first step and you're really willing to be honest and be
Yes.
vulnerable.
Yes, I love
It,
that. Yes.
and and then listen to how the universe is guiding you. It's going to take you on an amazing adventure. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not everything's going to go your way and it's all going to be, but life will be a lot more joyful, and it will be easier than living a life where you're going against yourself and rejecting yourself.
It's so true. I love your
So
aura. I feel like you have very adventurous aura, and that's so exciting and inspiring because it's like, and that's where we find ourselves. That's when we find parts of ourselves, like our hidden self, our unknown self. It's like we have to have that excitement and passion for to find something, to discover something, because that's where all the answers lie within the universe. It's like when you're ready to go on that journey in a way. And everybody has a different journey. So you don't have to like copy your best friend or somebody in your class or your work and anybody like that. But people can inspire you. And I feel like that's a great message also for people, especially who are empaths and who just want to like do the right thing. They want to be kind. They want to achieve great things to align them to, you know, who they are and their most ideal timeline. So that's a beautiful message. Yeah, go take the journey. Go take the adventure and like watch how the universe opens up to you for sure. And tell me a little bit
Yes.
about your book because that sounds so exciting to hear.
Yes, it's coming
Okay,
out in May. I cannot believe it.
amazing.
I mean, this has been 6 years. This has been like a 6
Wow.
year, yeah, from when I had the so I started my yoga wear line, and I mean, I started that from part-time job money. I started that from nothing. I hustled for like, I think like maybe a year and a half, 2 years to get it moving. And then I was able to utilize Instagram, and then I started selling, and that was when Instagram was more open and you know, not as much competition on there.
Mhm.
And so I was able to really get my brand out there, and people were buying it from all over the world. It was exciting. And that lasted for several years. And I was able to support myself just on the sales of my line. And I want to say this, you know, about failure, because I actually don't believe in failure. I believe if you, I think that's not a true concept. I feel like if you try something, you've learned something, and that's not a failure. Maybe it didn't meet your expectation, but
Right.
that's not a failure. And like for me, even with my yoga wear line, like I wanted it to be, you know, $100 million company. I wanted it to be huge. I wanted it to be all of that. But it's just like when I was pushing toward that, it was like things weren't happening. So you know, I was like flexible. I was like, okay, and then I got the inspiration to write the book, which I'll talk about in a second. But point is my yoga brand like didn't hit this crazy, it's not aloe yoga. It's not, you know, a crazy, successful brand like that. But it has given me so much opportunity. And I was able to travel the world for 2 years and write my book because of the money from the yoga wear line and how it supported me. And that's not a failure. It didn't meet my expectation, but that's in no way a failure. So I just want to say that to people. If you try something and you learned from it, you're going to get something out of it. That's never a failure. So it just didn't meet your expectation. And if you can take what you learned from it and then keep going forward, you know, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. Things are going to come to you. So with the book, I was on my way to my parents' house, and I literally got like, it was like a download, like a lightning bolt in my head. It's like, you're going to write a book. And I had never thought, "Ooh, I want to write a book." I never, that wasn't a thing. Um, and then I got this inspiration, and like this like excitement and joy filled my body. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun. So I'd never written a book before.
Wow.
I
Did you
studied
like to write in
business.
school?
I did. I loved literature. I was not, I didn't really like math too much, or science. I was more literature, history type of person. I love traveling. I love going on tours. I love learning history of places. It's like probably one of my favorite things to do. I have
Love
random
that.
facts about a bunch of different things. I got home and I told my parents, I'm like, I'm gonna write a book. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And so then I said, but I want to do this. So I've done my yoga wear line. I've done all this self-help stuff. I got myself out of a depression. I have some self-love. I had a spiritual awakening. I want to do this book differently than I have done everything else before. I want this to be pure inspiration. I don't want to rush it. I don't want to treat it as a checkbox that I need to check off my list done. I don't want it to be that. I don't care how long it takes. This is a project for my soul. This is something I want to contribute to the world to help others. And that's what it is.
Wow, this
And
is
I was
this
like,
is like a shock because there's so many writing agents who are overwhelming their clients when they're like, this chapter has to be done by this date, editing by this
yeah,
date, and then it's like you become so overwhelmed. It's like you don't even want to write this anymore. How you're describing it is so beautiful because that's such a true like representation of the soul and how it wants to express itself, like in waves, not to be overly rushed. And that's how creativity flows as well. You're not like rushing and forcing somebody to finish this by this time. I love that approach. It's so wonderful.
yeah. Well, and it was also like I didn't have an agent at that time. I didn't have a book publisher. I wasn't known for writing. I was just like, I had the idea, I had the inspiration, and I just went on a limb and was like, I'm gonna do this because my
Amazing.
soul is bursting. So, I mean, there was no pressure on me at all. I didn't even know if I could get this published or anything. So I moved to Indonesia for a year. I literally had my laptop bag, which was in my backpack, and one luggage, and I left for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
rented out my place, took my personals to my parents' house, and I was out. And made my business completely mobile. And then I moved to Bali for a year, and it was amazing. I was able to do yoga every morning. I do like an hour and a half of yoga. Then I'd go to a cafe and get my smoothie bowl, and I would sit there and be like, okay, are we inspired to write today? Just kind of sit there with my laptop open. If I was inspired to write, I would write. If I wasn't inspired to write, I'd be like, okay, you know what? We're not doing this today. We're going to walk around. We're going to go see a temple. We're going to, immerse yourself in the culture here, which is a beautiful culture, one of my favorites. And I just, I just did it like that for a year. And then I went to Berlin for a year, and the book was mostly done at that point. I kind of finished it in Berlin, but Berlin was more just kind of like, okay, I'm living in Berlin and discovering the city, and I was traveling a lot and kind of gave myself a break. And so I did write, but it was like, in and out of writing. And then I came back and it was COVID, and I thought, okay, well, let me get a book proposal ready. And so I got a book proposal ready, and then I was like, okay, let me start emailing some agents. So I just found a list of nonfiction agents on Google and emailed them. And I had two agents interested, in two reputable agents interested. I love it. I love how like the balloons go.
What was that?
I don't know why it does that with me. I know
That's
it
so
does.
cool.
And at some points I'll say something and it'll do
Oh my
fireworks.
god, that's the first time I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. Is it your birthday?
I know, I
Like,
don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why. It's
I love
crazy. I
that.
don't know if there's a setting or something. I don't know.
That's
It's happened
hilarious.
before on the podcast, but
Oh my,
I kind of don't want to fiddle with it because the they come at amazing times.
that's amazing.
So
Yeah, don't even like try to change it. That's so cool.
I know, I'm like, it's so cute. I'm not going to even change this. So, for everybody who's like maybe just listening, and balloons just came up in my screen, like around my head.
Yes, if you're in the audio, yes, that was really representative of like how you're describing your adventure, and I feel like that's definition of success. But please keep going with your story.
Okay. No, the story gets even crazier and in such a beautiful way. So I got two agents that were interested, which, I was always having to really hustle for every little thing. And I'm like, two? That's abundant. I would be happy if I just got one that was interested in me, right? So, and it was so hard to say no to one of them and say yes, to only say yes to one, because I'm like, I feel like so bad because I'm so excited that you liked it. that you cared, you know?
How did you
That's such a,
decide? Like, what were their parameters? What were the like? Did you have any kind of like list where you're like pro, con? Like,
well, I liked the woman. So there was one woman that had been doing it for a really long time. She was an older woman and she was really savvy with the marketing, and she had her own like boutique company, but she just seemed really sharp to me. The other one was a younger woman who also very smart, and she worked at a very big agency where they have done a lot of like kind of iconic books. So I actually chose the one that was older, the older woman, because I just felt like she was more in it, more like she had more grit. And I have grit. So I liked that she had that edge to her. And so I went with my gut on that one. And I went with her. And so then after that, it was 2 years of rejection. And it was rejection, rejection, rejection. But because my agent is so smart, she didn't just like blanket email everybody my book proposal. She emailed a few people, then they gave critique back. And so she would have me go back and kind of fix up the book proposal. And so she didn't blast it out to everyone. She was very smart about timing things out because she knows, which I didn't know, that a lot of stuff is all about timing. And I think with everything that I've done, I've kind of been a little bit before it kind of became mainstream. Like even with my yoga wear line, I was making yoga clothes when Lululemon was so niche that only yogis knew about Lululemon. And there wasn't much competition in the market. It was like Lululemon was the big one, and then there were a couple other small yoga brands like Tiki. I don't know if you remember them.
yes,
The Tiki brand. Yeah.
yeah,
And so, but it wasn't like it wasn't like you could go to Kohl's and get yoga
right,
leggings.
right,
And
yeah,
it was very different. And Nike wasn't doing yoga clothes. They were just doing their runner. And, so I'm pretty good at being on before, so, which I think that's connecting with the zeitgeist, the consciousness, that's where the inspiration, that's where, God comes in and is like, bam.
yes.
So, um, so anyway, rejected for 2 years. And I'm like, oh gosh. I was like, maybe, the universe wants me to self-publish. Maybe this won't happen for me. But my father was really sick at that time. And I was like, I can't think about this until my dad was dying. And I was like, I can't think about this until like later. So, and another great thing about this is that because I had done so much work beforehand, my self-worth wasn't attached to the book. I loved the book. I poured my heart and soul into the book. I cared about it deeply, but whether it was going to get published or not, was not going to affect how I felt about myself. I was proud of myself for having just done it.
That's
And
beautiful.
that's key. And that was me. That is a big accolade to me 12 years ago when I was in a deep, dark depression. And I knew I had to get out of this. And my main goal was I want to feel good about myself without it being because of anything except just feeling good because I exist. And I'm like, I give that girl so many props because without her, all of this would not be happening.
Wow, this is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And your journey is so incredible and so inspiring. And I feel like all of the empaths who are listening and watching the beautiful balloons will be super inspired to like go out there and have this kind of confidence about themselves that's like just like just like open and honest, because like your story seems so like how you explain everything is so simply, so honestly, and so like motivationally. I feel like to be on the journey of finding yourself and uncovering parts of yourself through depression, through all these mental things that we go through on a daily basis, we have to keep picking ourselves up and keep trying. And even through rejection, we have to kind of trust the universe and trust ourselves. And some days it's so difficult and it's so uncomfortable. And we do have to keep, keep on keeping on.
Yes, absolutely. 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 And, um, and so okay, I'll continue from where I was. Okay. So, but my dad's really sick, being rejected. I'm not, my self-worth is not attached to that at all. I'm just trying to enjoy time with my dad. Then 2 months before my father passes away, two publishing companies had a bidding war on my book.
Wow.
I mean, it was the most, I'm like, I literally was jumping around my house. Like I got on my knees and I just started praying because just the timing of that is incredible. I mean, the timing of that, like my father was so about accolades because he was an immigrant to this country and he worked so
Wow.
hard to give us an education. And my dad was, uh, you know, so proud when we achieved something. And so for him to know, oh my gosh, my daughter, I'm a first generation in this country, like she's going to be a published author was such a big deal for him. And because I'm not married, it's my dad's last name on the book, it's my last name. It's not my married last name because I'm not married, And so he was so happy and so proud. And I guess he told the nurse, he goes, she's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. Because it had been, over a decade of me, or a couple of decades of like trying to figure it out, going through all these struggles, trying to, believe in myself and what I wanted to do and go after it. And then he's like, oh my gosh, it's happening for her. So I was so grateful because I know that gave him also a sense of peace that I was going to be okay. And so I'm so grateful for that. It was so beautiful.
Wow.
And that's why I say to people, trust the timing of your life. When it feels like nothing's happening for you, and it could be a long time. I mean, 2 years of
Yeah.
rejection is not easy. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I had bigger things concerning me, like my father,
Yeah.
but it's like, it could go on for a long time and just keep going, follow your heart and life, a big chunk of life is timing. It is
Yeah.
timing.
That's such a beautiful message. It's so true. Yes. It's like the timing of alignments. That's like the magic thing that sometimes we want to control so much. And sometimes it's like when you actually stop controlling, sometimes that's like where the magic happens. And then it's like it's there to kind of shock you and stop you in your tracks to be like, what? Like, I don't have to sometimes
Yeah.
control every little thing.
Well, and that's the thing too. I used to be like that. I used to feel like I need to control everything. I need to push everything. And then I'd get burnt out. I'd get exhausted. I'd get down on myself that things weren't happening fast enough. And then what happens is if I had done that with this book, but like I said in the beginning, everything with this book I did differently than I've ever done before.
Wow.
Everything I did with this book, I've done differently than anything else in my life. So it's it's kind of just so beautiful that it's given me different results. It's given me results to the point where it's like everything is bigger than I thought would happen. And it's because I let go and I didn't suffocate it and I wasn't desperate with it. And I had trust with it. I let it go. I didn't attach it to my self-worth. I had patience. I believed. It's all of those things that I think made this happen. And they're such beautiful lessons because in life, you just can't control things. Like I couldn't control my father dying. I couldn't control two publishing companies wanting my book. I couldn't control 2 years of being rejected. You cannot control certain things because obviously it was a good product because later on, two people wanted it. So it's like, or two companies wanted it. So it's like, it's a dance. You're dancing with life and you have to
Wow, that's
let life
beautiful.
lead you.
Exactly. Wow. That's 100% so true. It's amazing. And it's so excited to have your book out. And for everybody who is going to want to get it, where can they get your book? And also, where can people connect with you to see your inspiring content?
Yes. So you can go to my website, confusedgirlinthecity.com.
Okay, I'll put it in the
And
description.
okay. And you can find the links for my book there. I mean, you can buy it, you can pre-order it now on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Um, it's called Confused Girl, Find Your Peace in the Chaos. And please, follow me on Instagram and say hi. My Instagram is at Confused Girl LA.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh,